Big news for Notre Dame fans in the form of a new commitment for Brian Kelly in the 2022 class. Before we dive into today's news, if you like what you see in this video, please consider hitting the thumbs up and subscribing to our YouTube channel for more Notre Dame football recruiting content. And of course, go to blueandgold.com for all of the coverage of this commitment. And folks, the big news of the day is Tobias Merriweather, four-star receiver from Vancouver, Washington, Union High School, standing at 6'4", 180 pounds, a four-star pass catcher, big-time talent, landing in Notre Dame 2022 class. When you talk about Merriweather's recruitment, it really came down to three schools, at least how I viewed things: Notre Dame, Stanford, and Oregon. Took official visits to Notre Dame and Stanford. Oregon is certainly more of a local school that he was looking at. Also held offers from the likes of Michigan, a school that he was talking about taking an official visit to potentially in the fall. Tennessee was after him, UCLA, USC, Utah. Of course, the in-state schools, Washington and Washington State. But Merriweather, you got to look all the way back to November of 2019. Merriweather took an unofficial visit out to Notre Dame for a game day experience, a year before Notre Dame would end up even offering this young man. He loved it, and then he returned out to campus in June for his official visit. It really blew him away. He connected well with the coaching staff, Dale Alexander, Tommy Rees, Brian Kelly. Family loved Notre Dame. All in all, this was just a great fit for him on and off the field. Again, guys, big time football player here, ranked with a 5.9 Rivals rating, which is that mid-level 4-star ranking per Rivals, number 155 overall player in the country, number 21 wide receiver, and the number 2 player from his home state of Washington. Productive junior season, just played in 6 games due to a shortened season in the state of Washington. 28 receptions, 415 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Had 666 all-purpose yards and 9 scores overall. Also added 4 interceptions as a defensive back. More accolades. How about him being committed to the Polynesian Bowl in Hawaii, the All-American Bowl in San Antonio, 2 of the premier all-star games for senior players. And now to talk about this commitment is Tim Hyde, Blue and Gold analyst, longtime high school football coach and junior college coach in the state of California, and a longtime follower of Notre Dame football. So, Tim, let's pop on Tobias Merriweather's film. Tell me what you think about him. What kind of stands out when you see him?
The first thing I definitely noticed right away is, for me as a football coach, is his vision. I was, in watching his film, his sophomore and junior film, it always looks like his eyes are always moving. And when you watch it, like in a little close up, a little slow mo, a little bit tighter, he's always looking for holes. I mean, I've been around some wide receivers that run straight line, run into people. He's always looking for holes and to attack, and he's very, very aggressive once the ball's in his hands. And the second great thing, obviously, all great wide receivers, is catch it high point, which you're going to see right here. He goes up, he uses his hands. There's a lot of this junior film right here that you have where he's using his hands nonstop, going aggressive, getting the football, and great tall wide receiver. I mean, it's Notre Dame. Obviously, you need some tall ones, and he's a 6'4", go get him, athletic, tall guy on the outside. That's going to bode very well for Notre Dame here in the future.
Now, Tim, when I watch his tape, you see these tunnel screens. You see a ton of him going over the middle. He seems like it. You'll even see him in the slot. So.
Yeah.
I mean, he just seems like, I don't want to say complete receiver because he's a junior in high school going to senior year, but he just seems, I mean, you see the wiggle there. He can settle down in a zone there. And here's him in the slot. It just seems like he can do so many different things.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, he's aggressive. He's an athlete. He's a, top 150, national recruit. So that means he's going to be very versatile, I feel, when you're ranked that high. And a lot of his film, he reminds me a lot, as I was talking to you about, with Miles Boykin, and a lot of EQ St. Brown when he came out of Servite High School, out of the Trinity League there in Orange County. Same thing with St. Brown. Used to catch a lot of tunnel screens and whatnot for Coach Kelly. And I think Merriweather is going to be the same type of athlete of those guys when you look at Boykin, St. Brown, that tall, athletic wide receiver. I want to say one of his other films, he had some great blocks from his sophomore and his sophomore film I noticed as well.
Now, do you
And
see him fitting? Do you see him fitting in that boundary receiver role like Claypool and Boykin? I mean, is that where you see him as well?
yes, just tall, tall. You got those. You got when you're you got those tall guys. You put those guys in the boundary because you're going to get so much man coverage. When teams usually kick so much coverage to the field side, you're going to get more one-on-one action in the boundary, and you get those tall guys playing the one-on-one deep balls. He's perfect. He's perfect for that boundary. It's almost like going back to the Final Four team of 2018 when they had Claypool and Boykin. They could really attack the short side of the field with the height that they have.
So receiver recruiting for Notre Dame certainly been interesting. You look at the 2019 class, no receivers remain from then. They only signed two, and of course Cam Hart moved from receiver to DB. The 2020 class, Jordan Johnson and Jay Burnell have transferred. Only Xavier Watts remains from 2019 and 2020. Of course, in last year's class, Deion Colsey, Jaden Thomas, Lorenzo Styles, a group of four-star receivers, and now in 2022 you have Tobias Merriweather, Amorion Walker. What's your take on receiver recruiting overall right now, Tim? What kind of comes to mind when you think about that?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is as we were chatting before is just the puzzlement out there. What's out there nationally. Looking at it as a football coach, as an analyst, and you watch Notre Dame football, they have a lot of guys playing in the NFL. Brian, Coach Kelly obviously has had Michael Floyd, Will Fuller drafted in the first round. Obviously, Claypool was a second round, and then right before those, the guy who's still playing in the NFL is Golden Tate, drafted in the second round. Then Coach Kelly's had a handful of others get drafted in EQ St. Brown, TJ Jones. So, there are some outstanding wide receivers playing in the NFL these days. And for national recruits to not want to come to Notre Dame, get developed, that's been the most interesting thing. And obviously they've lost out on some guys, but they're being aggressive. And I think it seems like they're going to a lot more tall guys, some tall guys here in the last couple of years, which is awesome. Going to those bigger type bodies. So maybe they're going back to, I keep using that 2018 model, when they had Claypool, Boykin, you could flex out Jones, Alize Jones, another tall football player who could play all over the place. So it seems like a little combination of that. It's been interesting. So, I wish some more people would take a look at Notre Dame in the national realm, because they throw the ball as much as, if not, more than some of the schools out there.
Seems to be trending in more of a positive direction for receiver recruiting when you look at 2021 and now into 2022. You talk about tall guys. Merriweather listed at 6'4", Marion Walker 6'3". If they get C.J. Williams coming up here soon, he's 6'2", big-bodied guy.
And
So
Colsey, obviously.
Seems like your receiver recruiting going up.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, some outstanding prospects and some outstanding kids going to be coming into South Bend, and there are some very, very talented kids coming up, and looking forward to seeing the QBs throw to them down the road here.
If you want to talk about what's next for Notre Dame at the receiver position, how about this, guys? Pictured on the left side of your screen is Tobias Merriweather, and on the right side, C.J. Williams, the number 29 overall player in the country, number 3 wide receiver per Rivals. These guys played on the same 7-on-7 team, I want to say at least twice during their high school careers. The pictures here were from earlier this year. It's kind of flown under the radar. These guys are close friends. You have Merriweather in the class. Now can Notre Dame go get C.J. Williams? Also be important for Notre Dame to hold on to Amorion Walker, who has visited other schools since his commitment to Notre Dame in March. So hold on to Amorion Walker, who's an Under Armour All-American with offers from Alabama, LSU, Michigan, and many others. Notre Dame has Merriweather in the fold. Now can it go out and get C.J. Williams, his buddy, who is going to announce his commitment on August 8th. There's just been a ton of discussion about receiver recruiting. If I'm a Notre Dame fan right now, we talked about with Tim Hyde a little bit. I'm feel like there's an upswing with receiver recruiting right now. 2019 and 2020, as we talked about, not great for Notre Dame on the receiver recruiting front. You still hold out hope for Xavier Watts, but you look at 2021 with Deion Colsey, Jaden Thomas, Lorenzo Styles, all 4-star players. And now into 2022, you have Walker. Now, if you have Walker, Merriweather, and C.J. Williams in a receiver class, I mean, I think you're fired up. You have the potential to go get a really good fourth receiver. You could stand pat with 3. You could sign 3 and get a transfer. A lot of different things on the table for Notre Dame at that position. But landing Merriweather, a top of the board target for Notre Dame, I think Fighting Irish fans got to be really excited right now. That's going to do it for this video. Make sure you let us know in the comments section what you think about the commitment of Tobias Merriweather to Notre Dame. Hit the thumbs up, like and subscribe. We appreciate you guys. Go to blueandgold.com for all the coverage of this commitment and so much more.